Hi everyone, welcome to Staples High School, where today the Staples Reppers, 7-1, we're taking on Fairfield Ward, 9-2, in this FCAC battle. And I have you with me today, our assistant principal, Mr. Jim Farnen. Jim, how are you?
Fantastic, Steve. Great to be here tonight.
Well, thank you so much for being here. It's a pleasure. Listen, you've done well. You've been with Staples for 26 years. Talk about, from your standpoint, where we are as a school, as an athletic department. How do you feel us today?
That's a great question. When I started back in 1999, Staples, completely different than what it is. The gym was here, the field house was here, the cafeteria was here. We had an old California-style building that was built in the 70s. When I came out for my interview, I was excited because it was Staples. I walked in, heavy runs, it was terrible. We had about 900, I think close to 1,000 students. It was small, and the growth over the last quarter of a century has been amazing. The athletic department, the growth of the athletic department and school-wide has been astounding over the first 25 years of the century.
I mean, the school, the school is so successful academically, student-wise. Any secret sauce that you guys put it to be like that?
Yeah, it's not the building, because the Staples was Staples before we had a beautiful $100 million building. It really is the raw ingredients that we work with, and we talked a little bit about what you do for your work. Our students are special kids. They come from great families. There's a lot of parental support. We're fortunate to be able to recruit and retain wonderful staff. So it's really a combination of all factors that make it special.
And as I'll share a story with you, I have a friend who's a teacher in the Denver school system, right? And every time I go, I know you teach in Westport. He goes, you don't think I've been trying? Right? People want to be here. It's a great spot. But let's talk a little bit about, you learned really be very involved in athletics. You had 4 kids who went through the program. From all your sons, daughters, everybody that went through, can you share one experience that kind of symbolizes the best thing for you? Tough to do it, but share a few. I don't know. Yeah.
They're also different. My daughter we didn't live in Westport when my daughter started. We lived in Easton. Okay. And we were going to buy a house in Westport, and my father said, look at your kids, they're not going to want to go to school where their dad's an administrator. I said, Dad, worst advice. No, it's just great advice. This time it didn't work out so well. So my daughter wanted to come for the theater program. She was in players. I was bringing her to the school since she was a baby, and she wanted to play soccer at Staples. So she was a tuition student. Great. Then my son wanted to play for Coach B. So he grew up coming to Staples games, wanted to play for the Staples Reppers, Coach B. He wanted to get the science research program, EJ. Michael was a rower, crew. So I was driving back and forth, coaching the Westport, driving from Easton to Soft for crew. I finally said, a buddy of mine said, hey, there's a house across the street that came for sale. And that's how I ended up there. And I saved all the tuition. I'm probably the only guy I joke around that saved money to move to Westport with all the tuition.
That is an incredible story, because you are probably the only person I ever heard that did that. And we were talking before, and I know you've coached at many different levels.
Yeah.
The integration of the youth that we have right now in high school, how important do you think that is? How do you think we're going to reap the benefits of that as these guys are doing right now?
I think it's critical. I think you see it on display here every halftime. And you'll see kids that are as young as, young elementary school students that are excited to be a part of this program. They have these wonderful, great role models out there playing high school basketball. They have an opportunity sometimes, whether it's a free throw contest or competing against their teammates. So not only at every level, I know my son just graduated from school, but also the baseball program. What Coach McFarland and his staff does with Little League Baseball is amazing. Especially at special clinics, that integration is essential.
And I think too, over the past few years, I want to say the coaches have become very accessible to the community, right? I mean, they've become like, and I've seen a lot of times where the kids interact with them, you know, and all that. And I think that creates a really comfort level, right?
Absolutely.
And was it always like this when you were doing this? I know you did work always like that.
Yeah, it always has been. You know, I'm thinking of some of the coaches that were here when I started. Robbie Lawrence, the legend.
There's a lot of,
you know,
he's got a track named after that. Come on.
Yeah, he's involved with the turkey trot. He's around town. He does youth clinics. Same thing with Coach McFarland. You have guys like Coach Wood is still here working the games, a retired amazing coach. So yes, they're visible, and it's important because they're not just coaches in season. Coach Barons is here tonight. They're very important, and you ask them before, what are some of what's the secret sauce? That's another piece of it.
It's really never just one thing, right? There's so many things that go with it. And you look at all the programs you have, and I always hear from the coaches, and I think it starts with BJ, where they say, you know, it's student athletes, always student athletes. Now, from the administration, I know from the athletic side, the athletics, that is, you know, the classroom is more important. From the academic side, how important is athletics, the owners of the students?
VJ says this, and I think I agree with it. You know, we do not want, we don't want you to be an 8 o'clock to 2:45 student. We want you to be involved. There's over 100 clubs and activities. We have dozens upon dozens of athletic programs. We have players. We have engineering clubs. So whether it be a student athlete, whether they're involved in theater, whether they're involved in English, whether they're involved in engineering program, we want you involved. It's essential. It's very important.
Yeah, because I think so, right? I mean, you want to be a really well-rounded person, right? So it's like I think it really helps everything. Now, you watch a lot of these guys play. Let's talk a little about the game. Basketball, I want to say the last 2 years have been a real upswing. Like Coach Short came in, kind of changed the philosophy a little bit. What's your take on the team this year?
I love the team, and I love the philosophy. Defense sets up our offense. And it truly is a team. And you watch the bench, and you see everybody's engaged. It's next man up, next player up attitude. They compete at all levels at all times. So really impressive group. And I was always a defensive coordinator. So you can't win if they don't score. They don't score a lot. So I love that philosophy.
I know. It's fantastic. When you look at all the sports teams and everything we've accomplished against the last 3 or 4 years, right? Is there anything that sticks to your mind? I know what mine sticks to mind. I can tell you mine a little bit later, but what is yours?
Geez, I guess being up in New Britain last year and watching that team, I coached that team that came out of COVID. It's been really a tough time for kids, and watching the culmination of Staples. To see Coach Barons win the state championship, the double L, number one team, first time I think since 1975 that happened. I think that was pretty cool. But there's so many different championships and successes. That just sticks out for me. It happened to be a group that I coached since they were in 3rd grade. So I coached them walk through Kyle. Jack did not play high school football, baseball, but those were all my former players, so that was especially it.
That is pretty cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Because I think the same thing with us. So I've only been out 4.5. So a lot of these guys were my son's friends, right? So it's so you have that affinity with this guy, right? But the next guy comes in and you learn them, you meet them, right?
Yep.
When you look at and I've been to ask BJ this first time I asked someone from the administration, but how does the administration support the athletic department on a day-to-day? What do you guys do to help? And I'm just because first thing I asked BJ was what does the athletic director do? I didn't even know what he did, right? He's like, I look at bus, all this stuff. How do you guys interact, the administration and the athletic department?
It's really so. As you said before, students' primary focus, their primary focus to their academics. We always say your day job is your most important before you go off and do your second shift job.
Yeah.
So my job, and the way that the assistant principals, and take a look at Principal Thomas, who is a huge supporter of all things Staples, including athletics. but I have 400 students in my 10th grade class, and it's my job to get to know them very well, whether they're athletes, whether they're Staples players, whether they're income students, whether they're engineering club members, whatever it is.
Yeah.
When it comes to athletics, I like to go to a lot of their games. It's important that they see attend their games, not just football and basketball. But that's how we know our kids really, really well. And that's the whole model. That's why we had this, when I started back in 2000, there were 2 deans of students. Me and my colleague, Rich Francis, who's retired. You don't know him. He's a lieutenant colonel in the Army Reserve. Great guy. We worked together for 18 years. There was only 2 of us. And we cycled a whole class through. When the school started to grow, we went to this new model where assistant principals were the administrative for the grade level, and we followed them through for 4 years to really get to know them. So how do we support athletics? We're in this together. It's got to be hand in glove.
Yeah, it really is. Now, and we were talking about the background, like, so you coach football at Trumbull and St. Joe's, is that right?
Yes.
The Stuart Staple guys, how do you separate that? Because the alma mater is something very special to us.
Right.
And I know, and I'm saying this, that you're a very hardcore Staples guy. I see it everywhere.
Yes.
So how did that come about?
Well, I joke and say Staples paid the mortgage for the last 26 years. So that's, but
Make it pretty easy right now.
I was not teaching full time when I was at St. Joe's. I was right out of college. Then I went over and got my first job at the the town school. There was a Hall of Fame amazing man and coach, Jerry McDougal. And he knew that I was coaching over at St. Joe's, and I remember him calling me. I revered Coach McDougal. He called me in his office and said, "Hey, Jim, it's about time you're working here. We need you coaching here." And that's how I started there.
And, coaching, you have done a lot of, I want to talk to you a little bit about college recruiting, because you had kids who've gone through it and all that. And just but what is your biggest advice to someone who wants to really do it? Timing, what to focus on. What's your biggest advice? Like a few minutes ago.
My biggest advice when it comes to high school is don't enjoy the journey and don't rush to a destination. Recruiting has become a bit complicated, especially with the portal. And when you're taking a look at the portal, there are fewer spots. Players, high school athletes now are chasing a smaller number of opportunities, especially at the Division I level. So my advice really is to be realistic, to find a school that we always talk about fit. It's really challenging. I have 3 other students. My daughter went to Penn State, my son went to Providence, my other son went to the University of Miami, and then Jack, we had to find a school that was an academic fit, but also an athletic fit. So it's a little extra work, but when we're talking about it, you have to make a decision. Do you really want to go to an academic school that baseball or your sport might not be the best fit, and vice versa? So it's a lot of work. It takes a lot of time. But my number one, message to anybody would be find the appropriate fit. And I think Coach McFarland or somebody said it to me: if baseball was to go away for your child, will your child still be happy at that school?
That's a great advice, right? Because you can't really compromise one thing for the other. Right? Like, obviously, I think the academics is the most important thing, because the percentage of people are going to think, not, the spread percentage, so at the same time. But did you find the process to be, I guess, easier or tougher than you thought? Jack?
I'm in the business. I've done education for 32 years, and I had 3 other kids come through the process. It was very challenging. You just have to be patient. It's challenging, but we always will work out. Be patient, look for good, be patient, look for good.
It is a great thing, and I enjoy it so much because, I think it's a very exciting time, right? And you're going to so it's great. But I thank you, and I think hopefully everyone hears that, right, and takes that advice. Now, we're almost at game time, and I want to ask you for a prediction here. What is going to be a prediction for the score today?
I think we're going to be in for a humdinger. I think it's going to be a tight game, and I figure that Staples is going to win by 5. So I'm going to go 64-59, go Records.
I love that. Mr. Farnen, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the game.